thanks so much for coming back to us for another episode of the 20-Minute Clinic. Very much our Christmas special.
You've been waiting for this moment all year.
Goodness me, absolutely. That one we thought would make an effort with making sure we kind of almost summarise the year a little bit. But we've got myself, we've got Paul on the wires.
Always on the wires. Try to keep them right.
Absolutely. He's single-handedly holding the place up.
Well, and of course, we always forget to mention, but our producer, Susie,
shout out to producer Susie.
In the background, doing all the behind-the-scenes organising.
She's incredible with lobbying guests to come on. So, no, grateful. Thank you so much. And look, we're joined today, very much our Christmas special, with Dr. Robert Westgate.
Hello. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, look, I thought it'll be a great opportunity for us to then just take stock, dare I say it, over the last few months since the podcast has kicked off. We were very much together last time at our pilot over the summer. And yeah, in your own words, what were they? Fragile idea.
Well, I was just thinking back to last year, maybe even last Christmas, and I don't think you gave me your heart, but we did have some ideas.
The very next day, he did give it away. I saw that.
But we did have some ideas about using a podcast to stimulate interest in North Cumbria, thinking about recruitment, refreshment, and celebrating all the good stuff, and commenting on maybe some of the challenging stuff that's happening on our patch. And I think we've turned that into something. We've done 12 episodes.
And of course, you guest hosted on a couple of those episodes as well, Robert.
I
when
did.
You were
always happy to be a supply teacher when.
Oh no! Don't. This is a team effort, guys. Come on.
Go team.
But I was just thinking back to that first episode back in June. I thought we were just testing out the equipment, the sound equipment, and someone had hit record at the start. So that was a bit of a surprise when it turned into an episode. So I don't think I said anything wrong. But if I'd known we were doing it as a proper episode, I might have said something slightly different. But
hopefully
it was all good.
Popular episodes,
Absolutely,
Robert.
Robert.
You must have said something right.
Definitely. No, what was the aim of this whole podcast? Very much to showcase North Cumbria, highlight primary care, also almost celebrate it. I think we don't have the opportunity of being able to have that coffee chat that maybe we had in a bygone era. It's an opportunity really just getting guests on and chatting through and go, what's going on in your neck of the woods, and celebrating what's good and maybe challenging what's not. So I think I've enjoyed it that way, and being able to speak to colleagues, reconnect with colleagues I may have met some time ago, and hear what their story is and their thoughts, ideas, almost their concerns and expectations, dare I say, as well.
And along the way, have we had any feedback from listeners around the content, around whether it's helpful, whether it's inspirational, whether it's challenging, and what the next steps in the podcast might be? Or is that something we maybe need to explore a bit?
I think we've had a bit, haven't we? We've had...
some people say they enjoy it.
Some people very much so. I mean, the numbers don't lie.
The numbers don't lie. He's taking over the world with the podcast. And this is where I talk about getting above the noise, as usual, where it is... There's so many podcasts now, and there's so much stuff on social media. So the fact that we're out there is part of it anyway, and it's keeping our North Cumbria voice in the mix.
Yeah,
and I think that's a big part of it.
That's huge for me. Yeah. I think being able to then just celebrate our region, our primary care, at a time when we often feel as though with media, or I don't know, the whole discussion around primary care, the pressures, the demands on the NHS, there's always negative news going around. It's just nice to be able to have a portal whereby we can showcase some of the good work that's going on. So there is some incredible work going on across our region, across primary care. And even we should really highlight our secondary care colleagues as well. Incredible amount of hard work they do, incredible amount of good. And I think I'm really keen to push on into the new year, the opportunity of being able to showcase some of that still, celebrate it as well. But at the same time, you know what, just highlight where we could do better and maybe a bit of CPD. Yes. And what's really interesting, having spoken to trainees, even the medical students at the new Paris Cumbria School of Medicine as well, that's kicked in as well. That's been really interesting to know that they've also been interested and keen to hear what's been going on. And again, if that offers the opportunity for us to, again, showcase some positivity about primary care and actually encourage individuals who may or may not have considered primary care as a career based upon some of the stuff they hear. Great, absolutely fantastic. I'd love to say that we've single-handedly changed people's careers and directions, but I I think if we influence them, absolute win.
I was just looking through the content of the podcast for this past 6-7 months. And yeah, we've had some great guests, all local, all working in healthcare locally. And a strong theme running through those conversations has been sort of journey through career and the impact that's had on people as individuals, on the environment and services around them. But very much built around connectivity, about connector roles, about relationships, about working together, recognising that can be in a very constrained and challenged and ever-changing and uncertain system, but very much built around relationships and understanding how people tick and recognising that there can be differences between services, differences of approach, but we still need to get on to make the system work for us and the people that we serve.
Absolutely that. And I think one of the things that I've picked up for me was we've had the opportunity, haven't we, of being able to look through a lot of the reflections from individuals that we have on, particularly at the very end of our podcast. What was the question, Paul?
The question was, I knew you would test me on this, so I've written it down.
Here we go, go on.
It was very much, what's one thing or one wish you'd like to change to help you do your job better? Oh, that's nice, Robert. In the NHS. So what's that one thing you'd like to see?
You know what?
And it was your bonus question.
Started as a bit of a weird, sort of crazy idea, but actually it's kind of morphed into an opportunity of being able to just take a cross-section of our colleagues at work in primary care, even some of our colleagues in secondary, and just go, actually, what do people want on the ground? Because we talk a lot about this, don't we, about we want more money. Just give us more money and we'll be able to make the world a better place. But we know that isn't always the fix. Robert breaks out into dance.
He was just dancing. I didn't capture that.
But what's really interesting is actually people's reflections. Robert, you've seen this, haven't you? We've had a chance to look through the document that we put together. Well, actually, Paul put together, thank you.
We've got, to go alongside this Christmas special, we've also got a montage special, or a highlights reel, if you will.
All right.
Which pulls all them questions, all the answers together from that very question.
See,
because I know that's what you've been after. You were after that compilation album, so we'll put that out as well.
We can put that out there. That'd be great. But I read through some of people's reflections, and actually, the minority was around money and resources. Time was obviously a thing, but we're not great at creating more time, aren't we? The 8th day of the week is quite hard to come by, as we know. So, but actually, what's really interesting when we look through what people's wishes are, overwhelmingly, it was a sense of a collaboration, working together better, and even elements around just not forgetting the importance what we offer in the NHS. And I think it's really important to sometimes take a step back and go, actually, we are working in an incredibly privileged position of being able to support patients at their point of need without any worry about cost.
That was one of the things someone brought
I really
up.
like that, absolutely. Yeah. And that's come up a few times. And I think I'm just thinking about my clinic this afternoon. I will be seeing everyone on that list who comes to see me, and not a single person I've said, can I afford to come and see this doctor? And we know that's not the case around the world, isn't it, really? So there's something in that, I think, to take away. And that's, I suppose, a bit of a reminder for me as well. We do work in a very privileged system, admittedly one that we know we'd like to support better and be able to improve. We all know that, but I think it's an important one to not lose sight of. And I think thoroughly encourage our students, our registrars, to do make a point about going back over the story and the history of the NHS at the very beginning. I do periodically, and it still is quite a really interesting bit of history.
Yeah, and we're at a time, aren't we, where the NHS is going through another think around what it needs to look like to deliver on those core principles of the NHS. And we've seen some of that start following, government change last year, etc. But to be fair, every 10 to 15 years there's a significant proposal to try and improve how the NHS works to allow it to uphold those principles of equitable care, free at the point of access, etc., etc. Yeah, we're seeing it all work through at the moment, and that's really challenging because there's some tough decisions in there around what does the NHS stand for? Yeah, those key principles, but what can the NHS afford to deliver? We've seen some of that work through around some of the very difficult decisions around, for example, weight loss medication and how the NHS supports the supply of weight management and weight loss medication to people with the highest clinical risk, etc. But it's not available to everybody who may be able to benefit from it because there's just not enough resource to go around. So we're probably going to see more and more of those sorts of decisions, which makes life hard. And you just really hope that those decisions are made with wisdom in the principles of health equity and health equality and access and narrowing the gap in terms of health inequalities. But yeah, really challenged time. And then we get caught up in the sort of middle of all of that as people delivering care in general practice on the front line. And I guess we all try to do the best with what we've got for the person in front of us, but recognise we can't always do what we want. And that's a difficult position to hold. But yeah, it's not all about money. I think general practice, it's principally about relationships. We talk about cradle to grave, we talk about continuity of care, we talk about working with colleagues in healthcare and social care, third sector partnerships, etc., etc. Resources are important, and resources in the right place are really important. And in this sort of reworking of what the NHS needs to look like to deliver individual, personal and population-based healthcare fit for the 21st century, that all needs to be worked through to get it to work as well as it can with the resources that we've got, because we know that nationally there's not a lot of money in the system out there.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. We do need to continue to work better, continue to support everyone as best as we can. I mean, on the back of that, we probably should be asking you as well, Robert. We've asked everyone else who's come on.
Are you going to do the bonus
Let's
question?
do it, let's pivot.
Okay, because I don't think you asked him on the pilot
We didn't
episode,
actually,
so,
no, actually.
Just remind me, what was the question again?
Drum roll, Paul.
I feel like I should have a sound effect for that.
And I do apologise. I just took a slurp of some coffee and I think it came through the microphone, so I do apologise for
Several times, Robert. Don't worry, we can edit that out, don't worry.
That's where the edit comes in, Robert. It's fine. That's where I earn my keep. It's fine.
Oh, no, Paul, we love you. We love you dearly.
So Amit, what's the question?
All right, so what's one thing you'd like to see happen in the NHS? I mean, you may have alluded to this already about relationships, I know, but what's one thing you would like to see the NHS do or change or offer to make you be a better colleague, clinician, doctor?
And this is without me breaking into song, isn't it?
I mean, look, Christmas special.
It's
so
a Christmas special. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen, mate. Yeah. Anything can happen.
Let's make the world a better place for me, for you, for the entire human race. No apologies for that. The one thing I would like to see, which I think, unfortunately, we've seen less of in recent years. I would love to see general practice valued by the NHS. Now, that might sound like a really odd thing to say, and that's not about me being valued. It's not about me being important. It's about the principles of general practice being valued. In the present rethinking of the structure of the NHS, I think the value of general practice is being challenged. So thinking about personalised, cradle-to-grave relational care, I think that is actually being challenged. And the more fragmentation we see in the NHS, the more transactional type of service, the more we lose that longitudinal relationship with patients, which is vitally important, which adds value both personally and economically. So continuity of care in general practice, it reduces utilisation of A&E, it reduces unplanned hospital admissions, it reduces utilisations of urgent care centres, etc. But to value continuity of care, we need to value relational care and value general practice. And it's sort of hidden in some of the narratives of the modern NHS, but it's not front and centre, and I would love it to be front and centre.
It's a point, isn't it, really, with that? Because, well, yeah, you're right. One of the very much cornerstones of general practice is that relationship, and that relationship we have with patients, with our colleagues, is significant. It's quite hard, isn't it, for accountants or even management to be able to quantify some of that. So I can imagine the difficulties of being able to document that accordingly. But from my own experience, this stuff can't quantify in numbers as such. It's very much a
but when you do look at the numbers, so looking at the research into continuity of care, if continuity of care were a pill or something you put in the water, you would see it having an impact for a particular cost. So it is quantifiable. And similarly, when you look at the investment or percentage investment trends in general practice as a proportion of the whole NHS over the past 20 odd years, you'll see a significant shift. Yeah. So the percentage of the NHS budget coming to general practice, about half now what it was 20 years ago, despite the intensity and complexity of the ask and the work being far greater. So valuing general practice is about the principles of how general practice works, recognising there's all sorts of different shapes and sizes of general practice, but also thinking about the investment into general practice. Now, that's not necessarily new money from the Treasury, but it's how money and resources are shared across the NHS and across health and care partners to ensure that the amount that's needed to support continuity of care and add the value that that brings is in the right place to support it.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's lots of ways of unpicking it all, but no, yeah, completely agree that the whole being able to be valued in general practice in primary care is significant, I think, from that point of view.
I suppose there's something in the perception, isn't there, as well? Because they're very much, the headlines and the comments and things you see are very much the same ones year after year after year. And no matter what you do, they're the ones still being fueled. And it's hard to shake them off without people realising how it works differently. Because obviously general practice is private, but it's part of the NHS as well. And it's kind of very different in that sense, isn't it?
I think my own reflection on that is I probably went through a phase of almost feeling quite frustrated by a lot of the narrative, a lot of the media about the perception of primary care, and that even almost trickling down to other colleagues in the NHS, the perception, negative or even otherwise, of what primary care is and what it delivers. For me, I think a great remedy for that is my clinics, frankly. Yeah, being able to sit down with patients and just unpick their concerns, being able to reassure where I can. I know it's not a fix every single time, but do what I can to either look after patients, fix them, or reassure them in a way that I know when they leave the consultation, they feel better. And there is honestly not many other jobs in the world that you have that such impact and degree of impact on an individual's life than we do here. And I think it's a real nice reminder every single time I go home. Don't get me wrong, I'm not that wet behind my ears where I feel that warm fuzzy feeling, but I do feel as though, yes, the world may well be telling me that I'm not working hard enough, but actually I know that I'm having an impact on patients. And I think I take on to that, I hold on to that every single time I run clinics.
That's nice, which probably leads us into, we haven't asked you the question.
Come on. You don't need to.
You know, if there was one thing you'd like to see change, or one wish that you could have for the NHS,
it's a hard one, isn't it? Really.
We'll throw it back to the host, Robert. You know.
Well, I suppose my reflection from all this is that exactly what everyone else has already said. Yeah, and I want to be in line with everyone else rather than two left or right.
You're not copying someone's homework, are you?
Yes, he's copying someone else's homework.
I think when it comes down to more money, more resources, more time, I think it goes without saying, I would love for this podcast, for our community of primary, secondary, tertiary care, yes, third sector. Julie was fantastic.
Should we call it integrated?
Yeah. Well, look, terminology is all over the place as it is from there on.
You love a good acronym, don't you?
I just think that there's something really there about the work we do. Some would argue that it's in silos. Some would say it's integrated and we're collaborating. I would love to see us being able to cross boundaries much more often. And being able to work much more closely and collaboratively together in a way that we know is going to help patients. And I think there's something there about the relationships across our system potentially frayed at times. And that, you know why? Because we're all stressed, we're all busy, and we're trying to protect our own corner of the NHS. But I'd love it if we could be able to just step out of that kind of territorial thinking and being able to go, what can I do to help you? And what could you do to help me? And let's collaborate. That for me would be amazing.
Would that be the first steps of that? Just having them discussions potentially?
Yeah. And that could be just be simple as reflecting on the podcast. Anyone who wants to come on, anyone listening to this, go, actually, you know what? I could do a better job. Come on board and have those discussions with us, collaborate with us, and potentially with the opportunities of the new medical school in our region, with the opportunities of being able to somewhat work differently across primary and secondary care, we could have those collaborations and we could challenge the current status quo. So for me, that would be fantastic.
And should I cheekily say that we can put the references to the previous co-production workshop in the text at the bottom of the screen?
Absolutely. So look, I think we've ran this for six months so far. I think we've really started the ball going when it comes to being able to have those conversations about what are you doing in your bit of the NHS and what's working really well and what could be done to make things better. I feel as though we're onto something here, and I am keen to continue it going. Admittingly, there will be times where I look across the wider team here in front of me to be able to support our guests on. But look, if anyone on the podcast feels or listen to this feels that they want to contribute, feel free to contact us. Very happy to have on board. We will continue with pushing ahead with making sure we can continue the voice across the NHS in North Cumbria, primary and secondary, being able to have those discussions, celebrate what goes well and challenge each other about what we could do better. I'm grateful for everyone who does listen and does contribute. The shares that we've seen, the likes, being able to get our message across and celebrate what we do is fantastic. And I'm so grateful for everyone. Thank you so much. All I can say to our listeners and to everyone here, I look forward to catching up and doing it all again in the New Year's.
Season 2.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Do a couple of minutes at the end of outtakes.
Okay.
And we can have some that Robert is just kind of knocking out some moves.
I believe the children of the future. Teach them well and let them lead the way.
Right. You give him some headphones and mic. I think it's
I know he's in the recording studio.
That's it. Game over.
So last Christmas,
I gave you my heart.
Join in, and then we'll harmonise.
I'm not great with the whole E17. He was going to be on my time. Take that, I'm all over.
Okay, well, we're recording now, so it's up to you where that goes. But you were on it. Yeah. I thought you were doing another singing thing.
No, I was just thinking about all the Christmas hits we can kind of elbow into the conversation.
Please, honestly,
but make them relevant.
Right, anyway, right, so 3, 2, 1.